We are live. Today is December 2nd. We are live. I'm here to answer questions. It's been a very hectic 48 hours. You can probably tell by my eyes. It's been a long, we started at very early in the morning and we'll probably be going well into the late hours this evening. Want to first and foremost say thank you to everyone that has taken the time to reach out to me. I wanted to extend a very warm holiday season. Thanksgiving. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I certainly hope that whatever part of the country or the world that you're located in, that you have a safe upcoming holiday season. I do want to say that I have gotten and received several emails, direct messages. Again, I am grateful to those parents and those student athletes that take the time to send me an email. It's a pleasure to speak with many of you on the phone. And I know this is a hectic time of year, and I know there's a lot of frustration. I want to emphasize two things before we begin. One, the Pro Line ball, they're all back in stock, the baseballs and the softballs. Talking to college coaches, Wake Forest, Johnson University, a lot of schools are utilizing the Pro Line ball, and there's a reason for it. It serves multiple purposes. So if you're a student athlete and you have a cage in your backyard, you have a cage in your garage or your cellar, if you're from Boston or New England or cold weather state, if you're using a jugs machine, a hack attack, these balls are durable. They give you real life feedback. When you're hitting with them, you're able to track ball flight. They're baseballs and softballs. You can also do a lot of your defensive work, receiving work as catchers, blocking as catchers. Same with first basemen, infielders, outfielders, etc. The Pro Line ball, there is going to be a description down below where you can get your 15% discount on all Pro Line products. Next, I want to bring to the attention of all of the parents and student athletes. These Tuesday segments are for you. They tend to last long. I understand they bore a great deal of people that kind of walk in and go out. They don't want to hear me ramble. I am going to have guests going forward on Tuesday, primarily high school coaches, travel coaches, people within the industry. We're going to be live in Columbus, Ohio, on a few nights at the ABCA in January. And we're doing this to get information out, to get insight, and allow you as parents and student athletes to be educated. But these Tuesday night discussions are primarily for you to ask questions and make sure that I get them answered for you. Ahead of time, I was able to take several questions that have been coming in, and I posed them to several college coaches from across the country. And I just want to show you, I took the time, to send this out to Coach King. But I asked three new realities of college baseball that didn't exist a few years ago, over and above roster cap, name, image, and likeness, etc. Asking for, more from a roster construction standpoint. So I wanted you to know that I'm taking into consideration the questions that are coming in, from you as parents, and obviously the student athletes, because I could sense that frustration. So I did want to take some time, and I sent that out to over 100 college coaches. So anything that I'm sharing with you tonight, I'm essentially paraphrasing and giving real answers back to you. They're not just my opinions. They're the thoughts and opinions of people that I trust, people that I have a relationship with and a rapport with. And I think it's important for you as parents now more than ever to understand. And this is going to sting. This is going to hurt. And it's probably going to upset a lot of people. But I think it has to be said. The disconnect is no one's fault. It's not your travel organization. It's not your high school coach. It's certainly not the college coaches. The rules that are put in place, the coaches have to abide by them. This is not something that an individual coach is going to make up. Now, how they construct rosters and how they go about their business on a day-to-day basis, that's strictly at the discretion of, obviously the head coach, the staff, and obviously the athletic department. But, everyone is basically, to a man, saying that this is a new landscape, period, full stop. What we thought, or what we used to think about how recruiting was done, it is no longer done that way. There are some similarities. Now, when I say this, I am not talking, because I talk to a lot of people who are in the recruiting space, not just college coaches. I talk with people who are advisors or consultants, such as myself. I will simply tell you that those groups that used to be able to, what I would call, airdrop or air bomb, email bomb colleges all across the country and hope that they were going to get a response, or better yet, some of these slick, people within the industry who like to, kind of, yo bro, like, tell me about, what no, those guys are basically done. Hey, do me a solid and help me get this guy into a program, and then I don't care what happens, as long as I can say, oh, I got him into school and he wasn't good enough. Well, those days are done. And all the college coaches want to really convey that two things are the primary focus at this point. And again, if you have a question, please jump in. One, it's a big boy business now. It's a big boy business. You must understand that at all levels of college athletics, there is a business component. Now, let's start at the JUCOs and the NAIAs and the Division III at the NCAA, Division II at the NCAA. Many of those schools, not all, many, they're going to have developmental teams, JV teams, and a varsity. They are, held to a standard that will essentially, the school wants more male students on campus. So therefore, they are incentivized to bring students into a program. And I have a lot of parents that will say, well, I looked at such and such, and it looks like there's 100 guys or 70 guys. Yes. Again, not all. But the world of JUCO, the world of NAIA, the world of Division III and Division II, again, they are bringing in, could be a 50-man roster, could be a 60-man roster. In some cases, it could be slightly higher. And you have to know that going in, that is the reality of that situation. Now, as we all know, the vast majority of NCAA Division I schools are, they just dealt with the cap. And parents are asking, well, I see so-and-so, at this school, they have, 40, or they have 38. Again, we've talked about it in the past. I'll touch upon it briefly tonight. And that is a designated student athlete who, as part of the agreement that was made with the legal decision by the judge in Oakland, that they did not want to penalize current college student athletes or incoming freshmen who were going to be affected by roster cap decisions. Schools could designate, earlier this past fall as to, or summer, that they could be quantified or qualified as a designated student athlete, and that they would not count against the roster cap. So you could have some decisions where some schools are electing to carry 40 athletes. Now, this will have a course of time, but it will not impact a class of 2026 or 2027 or beyond. They will not become designated student athletes. But if you were a sophomore, a freshman last year in college, you're a sophomore this year. So schools have made those decisions. Again, another point of reference, whether the school opted in and is abiding by the 34 roster cap. If they did not opt in, they don't have to abide by 34. That's a school by school decision or athletic department decision. So it's really important to understand those dynamics. One. Two, I have talked literally to over 30 high level JUCO coaches. And I want parents to understand that when you are inferring that, well, maybe I shouldn't chase the 4 year, maybe we should just go to JUCO. That sounds good, but until you understand the reality, for instance, the NJCAA. I'm not gonna, again, California's always its unique animal. They're a unique cat. They generally deal with a lot of JUCOs in California have a lot of incentives to keep their their students in California going to state schools, and they have their own rules. But for the JUCO levels, I can just tell you that Division One JUCO, there's three levels to JUCO. There's Division One, Division Two, and Division Three. Really depends on the region of the country. Story for another day. But Division One JUCO is literally bursting at the seams with Division One NCAA Division One talent, or their fallbacks that are coming back from Division One schools. But it's not a simple linear path from high school to JUCO. So there's that. Division Two JUCO. I get a kick out of when parents are talking about, well, I'll go anywhere where I can play, and then I'll bring up a school. Well, what level are they? Are they Division One JUCO? Are they Division Two JUCO? What level are they? Holy mother of goodness! This is the narrative that it must end. Parents, athletes, do yourself a favor. You can argue till the cows come home that you feel that your student athlete has great character. You can feel like they are good as an athlete. You can tell me that they are a Division One just because you play 6A in Texas or 5A in Louisiana, or you go to the greatest college in Georgia or Florida or California. That is not a definitive indication that your student athlete will be able to go to a Division One JUCO or a Division One NAIA school, or more importantly, an NCAA Division One school. It simply does not work that way. The word development in college baseball is going to be centered around where you get opportunity to develop. This is not something you want to lay at the feet of a college coach and say, I am here, develop me. No, it doesn't work that way. When you hit campus in August or September, you need to be prepared to compete for an opportunity at that school. Does not matter the level or the division. Those lines have always been blurry, but now they've been crossed off. They've been erased. I'm trying to tell you that families that I work with, I try to get them to understand right out of the gate. The name of the game is getting at bats, getting innings at the collegiate level. If you have a resume, you have a discussion. If you don't have a resume, you have no discussion. You have no idea when you're talking to these college coaches. They are looking for athletes, not plug and play, but they want athletes that have a certain maturity. I'm going to get to that. But they want you to play in a college summer league. They want you to have experience living away from home. They want you to have an idea of managing a real workload, not a workload that you think emulates or kind of has some similarities, because at the collegiate level it just doesn't work that way. Let me get my hellos out of the way. Keith, how are you, sir? Hope your Thanksgiving went well. Mr. Smith, thank you very much. And I want parents to understand, I'm getting a lot of messages, and I am going to get to your questions, but I want to start there because I think it's important for parents to really have a good understanding that this is it's a new world. Every coach that I talk to basically says, freshman year, you need to be ready. You need to be prepared. You need someone, as I believe I took my glasses off, but Keith may have alluded to this. Keith Simmons, whose son is a catcher and plays down in, was in Missouri. I think he's in North Carolina. But you need a real independent evaluation. So, this is something that I don't think enough parents or athletes really take. I don't want to use the word seriously, but I want you to understand, if you can't accept the criticism or the discussion points from somebody like me or somebody of that ilk. For instance, Mervil Melendez, former head coach at Alabama State and FIU, whose son, he has two sons, both played professionally. MJ is with the Royals, big leaguer. So if Mervil Melendez or a Doug Minkiewicz, who's 12-year big leaguer, played at Florida State, he has a son. Mervil has a son. I have two sons. I am certainly not comparing myself to either Mervil or Doug Minkiewicz. I mean, those guys, much, much different level. Both happen to be in Florida. But my point of this is, when we're giving evaluations, it's nothing personal. It's not like, hey, we're trying to bring you down. No, quite the opposite. We're trying to build you up by making you aware of things that you would rather address now than go to college and end up where the vast majority of these athletes are ending up, which is running headfirst into a brick wall. Now, I do not engage with athletes on Twitter, X, whatever we're going to call it. I hope we go back to Twitter. I don't do that. But, you put your phone number out there, you put your email address out there, and you're telling the whole world, you're not decommitting from a school. You're not decommitting from a school. Now, some guys may be homesick. I get that. Some guys may have not gelled with a new coaching staff. But essentially what's happening is they find out that they are not good enough. We need to have that look in the mirror, and we need to say it again. We are being told we are not good enough. We are not strong enough. We are not tough enough. Those are the meetings that are held. When somebody sits in an exit meeting, a college coach has evaluated that student, not just one, but an entire staff has sat in a room and discussed at length about who can and who can't, period. It's not personal. It's business. It's about putting the best on the field. You have to take pride in when you're told this is where you need to get better. Okay, do you want to quit? Or do you want to complain? Or do you just want to put your hat on and go get after it? because that's essentially what's happening with over a lot of, I'm not going to give numbers tonight, but there's a lot of student athletes that is happening with. Nobody wants to be the guy that wants to tell you that 170 to 175 isn't going to work. I will. It's not going to work. Are there exceptions? Yes. But I'm just telling you, 170, 165 to 175 is not going to work in college athletics. I talked to a JUCO coach today in Texas. JUCO coach in Texas. The average squat, box squat, which is just below parallel, was 500 pounds. Can you squat 400? Can you squat 300? Are you squatting at all? That's a JUCO. Now, I also want to tell you that when you go to college, if you're running and you're not used to the amount of running that colleges do. Now, I'm not talking about sprint work in the morning. I'm not talking about running stairs. I'm talking about repetitions, like the amount of ground balls, the amount of, defensive indie defense, team defense, and you're moving and you're running and you're always moving and you're always running for 3 to 4 hours a day. And you're not getting faster and you're not getting, you're getting winded very easy. That's not going to fly in college. And so it's time that you have a true independent evaluation way before your senior year in high school, way before your senior year. Now, I have parent after parent after parent. My son played for this team. He played for that team. He plays at this high school. He's definitely going to be a Division I player. We don't want to do a JUCO. We don't want to do a post-grad year. And I've said this, I think, ad nauseum, and people think I'm like making this up. It's not about what you want. A lot of guys want to play in the SEC. A lot of guys want to play in the ACC or the Big 12. A lot of guys want to play in Division I. But it simply is a factual, firm number. And if we just use the number 40, and I don't use 34, and I just say 303 times 40, we're talking about 12,120 athletes. Okay, so of that number, half are pitchers, half are position players. Of those two numbers, and let's just call it 6,000 and 6,000, 3,000 are spectators in a dugout in a uniform, and 3,000 are participants. 3,000 pitchers, 3,000 position players. They're active. The other 6,000 are spectators in a dugout. Okay, and you won't last long if you're not getting better and you're not working hard, or you're complaining about playing time and you're trying to hit the portal. It's not going to work. Now, let's talk about fallout from December 1st. You're at the Division III level. You're at the Division II level. What do you think those Division III and Division II coaches, a few JUCOs, a few NAIA schools, what do you think they're looking for? Well, they're getting calls from Division I coaches saying, hey, I really like this guy. He was just a little short for us. We had a log jam as a catcher. We had a log jam at the infield. He can really play. Now he finds his way into any level other than Division I. And guess what happens? All of these dominoes begin to fall. And now the guys at Division II, Division III, the NAIA, the JUCOs, they might see new guys in the locker room come January. And then the people that thought they were safe are no longer safe. So my point to you is, this whole discussion has to be about, it's not about what you want. It's not about where you want to go, where you think you should go, where you think you should play. This is about teamwork, realistic expectations, having a good understanding, whether it's your high school coach, your travel coach, somebody such as myself that will be able to say, like I said to a young man from Canada, you're a middle infielder, you run a 7-2, you hit left-handed. Do you catch? Yeah, I can catch. Boom. That's the position, because the more arrows you have in your quiver, the more versatile you become. And let's talk about that word versatility. Almost to a man, every college coach that I sent that out to, and I'll even prove it. I won't show you a whole bunch, but I'll send you a bunch. I'll show you. Let's just show you. Let's see. Bum. Things move faster. Commitment decisions are made quickly. Much harder to build relationships. Facilities and tradition don't seem to matter much to prospective student athletes. Players are bigger and stronger, coming in now more than ever. Okay, and let's see your next one. Let's see. Guys that can play multiple positions are important. Opportunities for potential two ways. Now, if this is something that you are being told, well, you should stop. You're a pitcher only. Don't do. Okay, maybe not. Maybe if you're a third baseman, you need to learn how to catch. Maybe if you're a first baseman, you need to play outfield. Maybe you're an outfielder. You want to add an infield position. These are suggestions not from me, but from college coaches. Let's go to the questions. Okay, next one up. Hello. Let's see. Dre. Hey, coach. Puerto Rico's in the house. Mr. Santos. Let's see. Mark. Here's another thing. Mark Bonilla, great coach, Pennsylvania area, has a daughter, very successful softball, going through some adversity. But Mark, aside from, coaching, and I bring his name up because he does, he helps athletes. We all help each other to help athletes. I don't think I've ever seen Mark say, I help this guy or I help that guy. We don't do that. But when we talk to each other on the phone and we start to share, hey, man, this is the new wave. This is what's really happening. And I gain insight from him, and maybe he gains insight from me. But, nobody's trying to cannibalize or become the all-powerful guy behind a curtain. This is just a matter of disseminating information. And so we all talk together. We all work together. Like if I have a guy that Mark can help, nobody worries about who's going to get credit. Nobody cares. And that's really for parents. You need to understand, find people that not only you can trust, but that coaches trust. Coaches will tell you, hey, we look for people that we can trust their evaluation. That's the key. People who can evaluate talent. Do you know how many guys, young athletes that I have worked with, and coaches have told me, go pound sand? Mike Glavin at Northeastern. He went to go see someone. He said, Walt, best center fielder I've ever seen, but can't hit water if he fell out of a boat in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. All right. Aside from us both laughing, and he was a little stern with me, guess what? He trusted me enough to say, okay, Walt, I don't see it, but you know this young man, and you've lived in that area for 5 years. I'll take your word for it. Well, guess what? He started for Northeastern for 4 years, won 3 Gold Gloves, played at the Cape, and he won a Silver Slugger Award at the Cape as one of the best hitters. He hit .310 in the Cape Cod League, which isn't easy. Let's see. Colin, how are you, sir? We have found freshmen. There is no development. Okay, I'm going to get to that. I touched a little bit on that, Colin. Mr. Smith, where would we find these independent evaluators? Okay, Mark Bonilla is one. He's on X, formerly known as Twitter. Mr. Smith, where are you located? I think Deaver, Mr. Smith, I think he's on the West Coast, Keith. But let's talk about this development word. And I really want Colin. So a lot of people, I mentioned Merville, I mentioned Doug Minkiewicz, I mentioned Mark Bonilla. I could mention a litany of people. When we evaluate, we're not at the mercy of what we're being told. The one thing that coaches respect, whether it's Merville or Coach Bonilla or Coach Minkiewicz, myself, we trust our eyes. It's not about how much money somebody puts in somebody's pocket. It's about, hey man, this guy can play. I don't want to sell somebody. I want to be able to work with someone to be able to get them to become the best version of themselves. Now, a question is asked, and if you're not on the YouTube stream, and while I'm thinking of it, do me a solid. If nothing else, please go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. Engage with this video and every other video that I have, which now is a lot of them out there, but it creates engagement, creates excitement with the old algorithm, which I know nothing about. It sounds like a cool word, by the way, but the more you engage and the more you subscribe, it helps build our community. And I really am excited about building the community, not only in North America, but now we're in Australia. And so top of the morning to you down there. But going back to development, when we're working with coaches, we like to have a little bit of runway. So maybe the freshman, sophomore, junior year, where we're able to identify, what the strengths, what the weaknesses are, what's the game plan, who do we want to put in your student athlete's life, what mentors do we think will help your student athlete become the best version that they are capable of becoming. Not my interpretation of your student athlete, not your interpretation, but their best version of themselves. Sometimes, I don't like to use the word intervention because it's certainly not an intervention, but sometimes being candid and being honest while being respectful is the best course of action. And whether we choose to want to believe it today, when coaches are talking about physicality, they are not joking around. When they talk about development, they want accountability from your student athlete on getting better, not just how fast do they run, how strong is their arm, what's their exit velocity. No, 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 no. Time management. They want them to be engaged in their process, not mom, not dad. And that's what people like myself, Mark, Bonilla, Merville, Coach Serrano, before he went back to Johnson, we help prepare athletes on how to converse and convey things that are important so that when they're sitting in a room with just them and the coach, that they know how to express themselves, because that's critical with regard to recruiting, development. You as parents, and more importantly, you as student athletes, must begin to understand your development is not in somebody else's hands. At the collegiate level, you're going to have to be able to understand the workload, not in the classroom, not in the nightlife, but on the ball field, in the ballpark, with regard to early morning work, individual work, coaches work, teamwork. When I say teamwork, parents always say to me, what are you talking about, individual and team? Sometimes coaches will have 3-on-1s. Those are in the individual workouts. And then they have individual defense, position specific. Then they have team defense, cutoffs, bunt relay, all those types of things. And so you have to understand, when you get into college, there's a certain level of expectation that college coaches want to know that you have some instinct, some instinctual kind of understanding of, okay, I'm on first base. The score is 0-0. I'm going to look at the outfielders. And if there's a ball in the gap, I know I'm going to third base. I'm picking up the coach, if the ball's behind me. But if the play's in front of me, I know that that guy's got his back to me and I can make it to third. Having some instincts, it takes pride, individual pride, in recognizing during the course of all of your games and practices that you're picking up in your senses, or your eyes, your ears, your understanding of game situations. That's development. We as parents cannot leave that, or the onus all on a college coach. Hey, my son's talented. Here you go. Develop him. Even at the JUCO level, in the NAIA Division I level, whether we are going to accept it or not, the ages are older. They're older. Why? Because older just means mature, not just skill set wise. Skill set is, I mean, maturity is like, okay, I'm accepting that this coach is reaming me a new behind and I deserve it. I got to step up. I got to pick up my game. I got to pay attention. I got to get in the cage and take some more reps. I got to, start commanding my glove side fastball. All of this, and I want to wrap up by talking about recruiting. College recruiting now in today's world, 2025 and beyond. If you're at 2026, you need to start looking into multiple alternatives. Multiple alternatives. And I go round and round with parents and I talk with people that want to be combative. I'm not here to engage in disruptive and be the contrarian. I'm just trying to tell you that three things are in play here. One, the college game is for mentally and physically mature athletes, period. Stop, full stop. Two, you need to be ready when your feet hit campus to be competitive physically. You need to be understanding that the weight room is not a option. Let me just put it to you that way. It's not an option. It is a reality. It is a staple for college athletics, both out of season and in season. Some do it differently, but I'm just telling you, if you haven't addressed that and you think, okay, I'm going to roll into school at 168, not happening. I'm sorry. Now, if that is upsetting to some, I'm sorry, but that's just the reality. Versatility, very, very big right now with college coaches. Multiple positions, very, very big with college baseball. The gap year, the reclassifying, whether we like it, don't like it, I will tell you this. For 38 years, I have always lived by the statement of trading athletic ability for academic excellence. I did that with my boys. I do it when I'm blessed and have the ability to work with certain families. I strive to get student athletes to the highest level that they can academically, where they're going to go for 4 or 5 years, not bounce around. Because baseball is fleeting. You have your time and you want to go where the fit academically, athletically, socially, geographically, as far as, big school, small school, those types of things, they feel right to your student athlete. And it's an enjoyable college experience as a whole, as a collective whole. I know people. I went to Gardner Webb to visit Coach Chester with my wife last 2 Julys ago. And I had never been there, and I was down there for the Legion World Series, and I took a ride on a golf cart. And I have to tell you, it was a great campus, small. The community was great. The people were really involved in the Gardner Webb community. And I saw the football team. I saw the athletic cafeteria. My point is, I'll say to a parent, hey, Gardner Webb, that's a great school. Well, we were thinking Texas and we were thinking Florida. Holy moly. This is my point. If a school, any school, I had Doug Clark, Doug on here from Clark State, Doug Adams from Clark State. The amount of parents that wanted to make it sound like because this guy is a JUCO coach, he's not talking for all the other college coaches. I was like, time out. I talked to Weatherford. I talked to McClellan. I talked to LSU Eunice. And I'm talking about long discussions. They all say word for word what Doug Adams had the stones to say, that some other people don't have the platform to stay. But meanwhile, parents and these gurus want to tell him he's wrong. Well, he's not wrong. He's just trying to tell you, hey, listen, foot speed, that's a big deal. Strength, that's a big deal. But oh, by the way, and I'm going to end on this, skill matters. I can't say this in a more respectful capacity. College athletics, pick your sport: field hockey, lacrosse, soccer, football, hockey, basketball, baseball. It is not. And if you play at the highest level in Texas, and I'm talking, my boys live in Texas, that's why I'm saying Texas. If you are on a 6A roster in Texas, and you're at the biggest high school with like 5,000 students, and you guys are perennial state champs, and you think, oh, I played at school ABC and we're 6A division national Super Bowl champs. That doesn't mean anything in college. Weatherford College in Weatherford, Texas, which is a suburb of Fort Worth, Texas. Have you ever heard of Weatherford? They have a roster that this spring will have 23 to 26 Division One athletes that will be going from Weatherford to Division One. Now, what does that have to do with this discussion, Walt? Well, I'm going to tell you. Okay, Weatherford, one school, has 24 athletes going Division One, and you think your high school student is going to be able to compete with those athletes that are coming out of Weatherford, having like a gazillion at bats and innings pitched at a very, very high level? Do you also know that Weatherford, the average fastball velocity on any given weekend is 92 to 93 with a hammer and a little slide piece? My point is, skill is in the eyes of the beholder, and the beholder of those eyeballs are college coaches. And all of them, to a man, is trying to get similar minded, similar talented athletes. And so, parents, the whole purpose of this, and student athletes, please, if you're a 2027 or you're a 2028 or a 2029, I don't know, over the last 4 years, you've heard me say these words. I don't know who takes it seriously, but after yesterday, I want you to hear me loud and clear. It's not about your summer team or lack thereof. It's not about the caliber of high school that you attend or how many varsity innings you get. You can be a JV player. I've known plenty of athletes that have been JV players, even into their junior year of high school, which many don't do anymore, that have gone on to play college athletics because getting between the lines gets you better. If a college coach at any level, any division in the United States or even Canada is offering you an opportunity, you need to sit and listen. You need to process. You need to give them the common courtesy of hearing what they have to say and what opportunity they may have for your student athlete. Now, I've mentioned this in the past, and I get so much shrapnel from this comment, but I will also want to add before I go, the international students are coming to the U.S. in very large numbers. Let me say this loud: Australia, Taiwan, China, Japan, Canada, Germany. Many watch these broadcasts. I work and talk with many of these parents because they have me to ask them about getting into post-grad schools or boarding schools, those types of things. I also work with college coaches who will say, "Well, I just have a young man that's from Canada, from Germany, from Australia. We really like them at a workout, but we need to get him into a prep school, a boarding school, that type of thing." So my point to telling you all of this is to allow you have somebody do a independent evaluation, have a plan, talk to that person or those people, and let them help you, guide you on how to handle that plan, how to execute your plan. We don't come on here to try to say, I'm smarter than this guy. No, no. It's about access. If Mark Bonilla or Merville Melendez or any other of these people that are consultants, they're not recruiting service. They're valued eyeballs and talent evaluators that many college coaches rely on and call upon when they're looking for student athletes. That's our vocation. That's what we love to do. I'm not speaking for Mark. I'm not speaking for Merville. I'm not speaking for Doug Minkiewicz. They don't need me to do that. But what I'm trying to say to you is if you have a runway out in front of you, my gosh, man, you should get on this yesterday. You should take and embrace the eval and the plan. And then it's up to your student athlete to execute that plan. We can't push them, they have to pull us. I love it when a student athlete will send me videos on a snow day and say, "Hey, what do you think? What does this look like?" And then I'll say something back like, "Hey, man, don't let your chin get too far away. Make sure that you're not chasing ball flight inside a cage. Keep that chin down over contact, through contact. Let your hands work through the baseball." But they're pulling me. I don't have to say, "Hey, how was hitting today?" They pull. I don't have to push. Recruiting, it's not what it was. It will never be what it was. It's never going back to the way it was. It's a much, much different animal. You need skill, you need speed, you need size, you need strength. Skill, 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 skill. The last S, school. Now, I have parents that will say to me, well, the last thing that this world needs is another business marketing degree or sports management degree. And I'm not going down that rabbit hole, but I am going to say college is so much more. Take it from somebody that didn't go to college. Mom died when I'm 6. Dad died when I'm 16. I'm living on my own, living with my dad's Social Security, paying rent, paying phone bill, electric bill, and I get drafted. I didn't think about college as, wow, what an experience. Well, I signed because they were going to give me money that would make my life different, not better, but different. And my boys, I don't talk it, I walked it. And when my boys were getting ready to go to college, I said, listen, college is not just about that piece of paper. It's not just about your degree. You're growing up, you're maturing, social skills, network, your relationships with faculty, community, students, coaches, teammates. It's a time in your life. While adults will say you can go to college at any time in your life, you may have much bigger responsibilities. You may have a family, you may have children. Going to college then is more about online and fitting it into an already hectic schedule. Being 18 or 19 through now 23 and maybe 24, you want to know why older students stick around? Because college life is pretty gosh darn good. The real world, it can wait a year or two. So college, it's not just about getting between the lines and playing. It's not just getting a business degree. It's about moments, memories, friendships, relationships, bus rides, flights, spring training. It's about moments and memories where you're crossing that bridge from childhood to adulthood. Recruiting is so much more than just what your batting average is, what your fastball velocity is, or what your exit velocity is. You need people, not a person, people in your student athlete's life that can mentor them on the value of making good decisions, making hard decisions. There's no such thing as right or wrong when your child's making a decision, but they have to learn that there is consequences for the decisions that they make. And that is what college is all about. So again, I want to say thank you to everybody that watched this. Mike Brooks went and watched Weatherford play doubleheader. Yep, Texas JUCO players are beasts. That is a fact. All right, let's catch up on a few here. Okay, Mr. Smith, I gave you the independent evaluators. Keith Simmons, talked to you there. He's in North Carolina, Keith. Scott, hello, Scott. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving, Scott. Next one up. Thank you very much. Okay, Coach Adams. Yes, true gold. He is Doug Adams. Now, listen to me. Clark State, the dirt dogs of college baseball. they are the real deal. And I'm just telling you, I've known that man. He's been around some really high quality high school athletes that have played. Xavier Turner being one of them from Ohio, Sandusky, Ohio. Doug Adams knows baseball. So all those people that watch Doug Adams and think, oh, he's just a JUCO coach in Ohio. That guy knows more baseball. He'll forget more baseball tonight than many of us will ever know in our entire lifetime. I can promise you that. Okay, Stowe. Hey, everyone. Stowe stuff. Okay. Mike Brooks. Hope all is well with the Brooks family. Go Tigers. Let's see. Exactly. I also want to get, I'm going to end on that to Mr. Stuff. Yes, sir. Mike, man. Okay, and I'm going to just get this in here real quick. Scott, hello, Scott. I hope Kai and you in the Pacific Northwest had, and Mr. Copper State, Miss Copper State, thank you so much. I'm going to end on this. I get asked this question a lot. When I tell you my background, I'm not telling you to get a tissue. I'm just trying to explain to you where I'm coming from, because I got a lot of parents that'll say to me, like, what's this angle? What's this? There is no angle. I have no angle. In fact, I was a single dad. I raised two sons from the ages of 3 and 5. And I used to get told all the time, oh, you're living vicariously through your kids and all these things. You know what? I never lived through my kids. I did want to make sure that my two sons, and I hope my grandchildren, lived the same thing. The life that I led and my younger brother, who's deceased, led was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. And I would never wish that on anyone. But the one lesson that I learned from all of that adversity, if you want to call it adversity, my friends, when I graduated high school, all went away to college. And I would go visit various friends at various times, and we'd have, libations, or we'd go to football games. And I would just see all of these things that they were doing. And meanwhile, I got released after 1 year. Okay, I had some money in my bank account, but I had to get a job. I had to support myself. And, working as an 18, 19, I had been working since I was 16 at the Moolah supermarket. But my point to you is this. My lesson in life was that those college years were much more than a degree. They were an experience, a moment in time where you leave childhood and go into adulthood, and all of those moments and memories and relationships and where they led. I'm 62, soon will be 63. Those people are CEOs, they're corporate executives, they're lawyers, they're doctors, they're stockbrokers, and they're, not everyone, but some of them are plumbers, electricians, and they to this day still have relationships. They have alumni day at their colleges. They have, alumni games as baseball players. My point is, college as an experience is a experience that if we as families are going to want to go to college, we want to make it the best experience we can. And I'm blessed that my youngest son did so at Vanderbilt University. He has a great degree, and he went to a great boarding school, Lawrence Academy, and he was able to do so, not because I could afford it, because I certainly couldn't afford it. It was because he could throw a baseball. My oldest son, the same thing. He went to school in Louisiana, and he went to LSU Eunice, and he went to LSU Alexandria, and he has 2 degrees, and my youngest son has 2 degrees, and I have 0. So I hope that you keep watching these. I hope you continue to send in your questions. I want to encourage you again, if you could do me a really big favor, go over to the YouTube channel. Please ask people to subscribe. Just ask someone that hey, if you're into baseball, go subscribe to Coach Beede and hit the like button. Leave a comment. It can be a good comment. If you don't like what I'm saying, if you want to disagree with me, I'm all about that. Disagreement in discussions don't have to be argumentative. You can say you're wrong, and I can say I don't think I'm wrong, but we'll agree to disagree. We can leave it in the middle. Everybody has an opinion. So I want to say thank you. This coming Thursday, I'm going to be talking to, over the next few weeks, Weatherford. I'm going to be talking Arkansas. I'm going to be talking to the pitching coach at Arkansas. I'm going to be talking to University of Michigan, Georgia Tech, Villanova. That's just a few. And I'm going to be talking University of Hawaii. So we're going to get a lot of insight moving forward. And if you think this is great, I want you to please like, subscribe, share the channel. Go on your social media and share. Just share this and share it with your teams. Share it with your coaches. And if I can help you, and it can be just a simple email exchange, fire me off an email, walter@coachbeede.com. Until next week, have a great week. It's the holiday season. Be nice, be kind, share your time with others. We're only taking this trip for a very short time. It's 2025, but before you know it, New Year's Eve 2026, for a guy born in 1963, 2026 seemed like a long, long way away. Have a great week, and I look forward to talking with you next Tuesday. This Thursday, stay tuned for Coach's Corner.